It's the all-wheel drive event at Lithia Ford of Boise. From hunting trips to ski trips to trips to Grandma's house. Nobody does AWD like LFB, Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho.
Eat Lux your way with the Lux Cravings boxes from Taco Bell. There's the classic $5 box, the indulgent $7 box, and a whole new obsession in the $9 box, the Flamin' Hot Grilled Cheese Burrito. Try the Lux Cravings boxes at Taco Bell today.
Find your sun with Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea. Made with real iced tea and real vodka. Cold, refreshing, and made for moments like these all year long. Let the good times cruise with Sun Cruiser.
As sports fans, we may cheer for different teams, but there's one thing that we can all agree on. We want the game to be big. And with 3 levels, 30 cabanas, a 143-foot screen, 6 clean pools, and endless cold drinks, it doesn't get any bigger or any better than Stadium Swim in Las Vegas. All sports, all seasons. It's more than a pool day. Stadium Swim is the only thing like it in the world.
The final buzzer is sounded on another night of Mountain West basketball, and it's time to break down the action with Tom Moser on another night in the Mountain West, presented by Circus Sports. Headed to Las Vegas for the Mountain West tournament in March? Make sure to stay at Circa Las Vegas and watch all the action at Stadium Swim, where the sports are on 365 days a year. Another night in the Mountain West has interviews, analysis, opinions after the final Mountain West basketball game of the day wraps up. All BNN broadcasts come from the Sun Cruiser Studios. Sunny days call for Sun Cruiser Vodka Iced Tea, made with real iced tea and real vodka. It's refreshingly smooth and easy to drink. Crack open a Sun Cruiser and let the good times cruise. The title sponsor of Bronco Nation News is Lithia Ford of Boise. Check out our full inventory of vehicles online at lithiafordboise.com. Lithia Ford of Boise, where Ford begins in Idaho. Did your team just get a big win? Suffer a bad loss? Come discuss it with us. Send us a comment or question in the ICCU YouTube chat, or leave us a voicemail at speakpipe.com/BNN. Now let's go to the Sun Cruiser Studios and join Tom Moser for another night in the Mountain West on Bronco Nation News.
What's up, everybody? You are in a Sun Cruiser studio on another night in the Mountain West, and I'm your host, Tom Moser. Tuesday, February the 3rd, special day for me. It was my birthday, so I celebrated a birthday here. Didn't have any Sun Cruiser vodka. Maybe I'll have one of those, crack one of those open tomorrow night. Sun Cruiser along with us here tonight, and down on the bottom, as I always say, at Mountain West BNN. Please go subscribe if you have not already done so, at Mountain West BNN. Also, a little bit rare right now is we still have 22 seconds left in this circus that is known as the Fresno State UNLV game. It's already 1:45 here on the East Coast and midnight out there for you guys in the Mountain Time Zone. So I didn't want to wait the extra 5-10 minutes, and who knows how long that thing's going to go for. It's probably a 2.5-hour game right now already and didn't even end regulation. So lot to get to tonight, as is always the case. 4 full games, massive game tomorrow to break down for a little bit, mix in some other thoughts. We'll see who is here. With some comments and questions. Have a few already. Appreciate that, Paul. Thank you. Thank you guys for being here. So what I will do is I will start with the game that is not quite over, but will be over in about 20 seconds maybe, because we'll wait and see if anybody else is rolling out of Viejas. I know that game's been over now for 10 minutes, but we'll go with that one second. We'll start with this UNLV game here. And it looks like it's about to go final. They are up by 5, 94-89. I said going back to last week's show and today that I was looking forward to watching this game. thinking that it would be the most entertaining game of the day. Now, that certainly has some competition because the Nevada and Boise game was a great game to watch. But this game, you get a 50-49 game at the at halftime, up and down, teams making shots. That's what you like to see. Now, it's turned into a foul fest here in the second half, 100%, and nobody likes to see that. As let me put these stats up here quickly. I think I have it on. It's funny, the stats are ahead of my feed here. They didn't even shoot the free throws yet. So if you guys are watching live, you might get these updates before they happen if you have it on the TV. That's kind of funny because as I speak, Reber's shooting the free throws right now. But anyway, so with only 6 seconds left, you need one foul shot to go in, although that seemed to be proven more difficult than it should be for other teams. But anyway, Hyde-Brader, big night with 27. Gibbs Lawhorn at 28. Everybody, look at how many people fouled out in this game. You see the fives there tinted in bold. 5 guys for UNLV fouled out. I mean, this is just absurd. 76 free throws, that is right there. 34 for UNLV and 42 for Fresno. Just a ridiculous number right there. I mean, just wild. And now you're going to add 2 more right now for UNLV. So we're going to get up to 78 free throws in a regulation game here. Not the way you want to. I said at halftime, let's get this one up into the 90s. This is not the way you want to get a game up into the 90s with free throw after free throw after free throw. But look, fact of the matter is both teams shot above 50% from the floor too. The 55% for UNLV and 57% for the Bulldogs. So the game was played at a pretty decent level, right? I mean, this was an even game. These teams played what seems like 3 months ago to start conference season, and UNLV won at home. I thought Fresno would get this one. It doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. We have a review again. This is like the 12th review for something, and I turned the volume off, so I have no idea what they're reviewing. But I mean, look, these teams are right near each other in the standings. At home, this had to be a game that Wahlberg figured he would get. But the defense just wasn't good enough. I trust their defense more than I trust UNLV's defense. It didn't come to fruition tonight. UNLV was pretty efficient. I mean, 9 for 23 from deep. Gibbs Lawhorn hit 4 out of 6. Now, Isaac Williamson shooting 6 and making 1 out of 6 is not very good. But, Fleming, 23 and 9. You don't get that from that guy every night out. So that's certainly a career game for him. What's funny is, aside from Fleming right now, because of everybody that's fouled out, if by some chance this game will go overtime, the other 4 players on the floor for UNLV have combined for 5 points. So it's not something you see every day. But look, Fresno, just, they've had a couple guys foul out too. Not enough help for Hyde-Brader. Collins played okay. 3 assists, 5 turnovers, not good enough. They turned it over 15 times. UNLV turned it over 18 times. It's funny. I did want to mention in the game that it was well-played game, but not at the level of the Boise, Nevada game, let's be honest. But there was a sequence, I guess seems like it was 2 hours ago, but it was early in the second half. UNLV had stretched it out to start the half. Fresno was really struggling to score, missed a bunch of shots to start the second half. And UNLV had strung together a few stops in a row, and they come down on a fast break, maybe a 3-on-2 or some type of delayed transition. And, I sent that tweet out the other night about the New Mexico play, saying this basically sums up New Mexico, right, where there was a loose ball and it almost got turned over twice, and Albury's trapped in a corner, and he barely finds a pass to Bouillon, who goes up and lays it in. And it just summarizes who they are and how they squeeze everything out of what they can get, right? Well, I couldn't record this because on the Mountain West Network, it doesn't really allow you to go back and rewind and stuff. This wasn't on Mountain West Network. I had the San Diego State game on the TV, and on my computer, I couldn't go back and rewind it. But if you watch the game, you know what I'm talking about. I think it was Williamson threw a lob, and freaking 2 guys for UNLV both go up for an alley-oop to try to dunk it. They miss the dunk, and Fresno comes down at the other end and hits a 3. Now, in the grand scheme of things here, it's not going to matter because barring, I don't know what they're reviewing, but barring 2 missed free throws and a Fresno 3, the Rebels are going to escape here. But that's just like the way that they do things. They don't handle success very well, right? Like, How do you don't see that? You can probably count on one hand the number of times you see that in the entire season if you would watch like every game. Like you just don't have two guys in the same team going up for an alley-oop dunk, right? Crashing the boards on an offensive rebound on a missed shot, of course, that's different. But on a transition with an alley-oop, it just doesn't happen. They're not in sync. Now, the good UNLV showed up. They showed up from the start of the game here to play. You could tell they were engaged. Why they decided to show up tonight and not on Friday against their rival, don't ask me. Go into their locker room or one of their practices and find out what their deal is. But, they showed up tonight. You got the good UNLV, and so it looks like they're going to get out of here with a win. We have another conference going on. They might be trying to set a record for the longest game in regulation this season. We'll have to check that one out later because they're still reviewing this and talking to Vance Wahlberg. But it looks like the Rebels will get out of here with a win. Good for them. We all know they have the talent to do it. Are they going to keep caring? When are they going to show up? It's like Forrest Gump and his box of chocolates. You just never know what you're going to get from UNLV at this point. So let me see if the free throw is on the board here. He did so. It was a flagrant foul, I guess. So we're going to get more free throws even because UNLV made both to go up by. Oh no, I think they called a flagrant and then a technical on UNLV because now Fresno has shot 2 free throws. This is just wild. I mean, I guess this is probably why I should have. Thanks, Ice. Appreciate that. This is probably why I should have not come on until the game started because this is why we call it another night in the Mountain West. This is an absolute circus. Like this is UNLV creating ways to lose. And I know there were some UNLV fans that used to give me grief when I would say that a couple years ago, the sprinkle season, when I said that Utah State would find ways to win, but UNLV would find ways to lose because frankly they did. They would find ways to lose. And now, like, I don't know what's happening here, but, we just exchanged, 2 free throws when it should have been UNLV icing the game away at the line, and now we have 80 free throws in this game. That for a regulation game this season, I don't know that there's been more in the country. That's an absurd amount of free throws. If you think a 40-minute game, that is one set of 2 free throws every minute of the game, and that just there's no flow. And I didn't think it was that way in the first half at all. But anyway, I'm trying to hang in there with this game until it goes final. But I'm losing steam because I want to get to the 2 games, obviously the San Diego State game and then primarily the Boise, Nevada game, and spend a fair amount of time talking about tomorrow's big game in the pit between the Aggies and the Lobos once we find out what ends up here. Let me see if I can get a little... All right, so is it? This is unbelievable. So I guess it is Fresno ball with 6 seconds left. Let's see if we remember going back to the Boise game. Oh my goodness, another timeout. If we go back to the Boise game, Pastner did not foul in this situation, right? And Fielder hits the 3, and it goes overtime. And UNLV, I don't want to say they got lucky because they outplayed the Broncos in overtime. Andrews had fouled out, and that kind of hurt them because Nato wasn't playing well at that point. And I thought it was the wrong call. People always say, second guess. I first guessed it. In other words, I called it before it happened. Like, what are you doing, right? So now there's 6.8 to go. Like, here's a prime opportunity to foul, okay? Like, I don't want to hear any of that stuff with excuses about you don't trust your guys rebounding. You have no players left to play, okay? Everybody has fouled out. If you allow them to take a 3 and Highbrader knocks a 3 in, you're going to lose in overtime. So you foul on the floor, you take your chance that they don't miss properly or you can grab a rebound since you have inside position and you win the game that way. Otherwise, you're really playing with fire here. So I'm interested to see if he learned from his mistakes before. I know, Jordan, this is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, I cannot believe it is 2:00 a.m. on the East Coast and this game has not ended yet. Like it's like the Mountain West semifinal that starts at midnight here. It's ridiculous. So here we go. Let's see what Pastner decides to do. Let's see what Wahlberg drew up. I mean, the odds are there's going to be a foul review. I mean, it's kind of like comical at this point. Maybe we'll all right, here we go. Inbounding. Doesn't look like he's fouling. They're going to get an open look. Douglas, and he hit it. That is hilarious. Douglas just hit like a ridiculous off to the side 30-footer. 1 second left. UNLV throwing it the length of the floor. Oh, and now, so UNLV has just, this gets even better. This gets even better. So they just threw the ball out of bounds. So Fresno is going to inbound it under their basket with 1.5 seconds to go, okay? Because they tried to throw a home run pass and nobody touched it. And Fresno's going to inbound under their own basket, okay? Yes, Jordan. UNLOLV. Yeah, you need to trademark that, Jordan, because this is absolutely hilarious. I don't know how, if I don't expect them to do it, but if Fresno would throw a basket in here, UNLV would have a 5-point lead with 6 seconds left in regulation and lose in regulation. That probably has never, ever been done before. Probably never been done before. Okay, that is absolutely beyond fathomable. Okay, I can't believe it, and I can't wait to hear somebody ask Pastner in the post game. This is hilarious, right? Like now they're reviewing the clock. It shouldn't have moved. There should be 1.5 left. I did say it. I see it. Inches from greatness. Yeah, I don't know if I'm a legend, but listen, I'm wound up. It's been a long day. The games were interesting in one sense or another, all the way around, and I don't think he touched the ball. I really don't think so. Let's see what Wahlberg draws up here. The funniest outcome here would be if UNLV would foul on the inbound and Fresno would make a free throw or two to win the game. Yeah, if you play with four. I mean, you would play with four. Now, he probably has a couple walk-ons that he can play. I'll go back to the box score here for 1 second. I still have it here. Let's see who he does have left, because he's got he's got those 5 guys that have all fouled out. So the 5 guys that he has on the floor are eligible, and Cunningham has 4. I'm going to assume he's got 1 more guy left on the bench other than those 5. I can't guarantee that, because obviously he's got Che and another guy out and Dembele out. So I can't guarantee that, but I think he's got 1 more guy, and he could run them out there. And now we get another timeout. Neither one of these coaches used timeouts the entire game, and that's why they were stockpiled here at the end of regulation. So we are almost at a 3-hour regulation game. We might be setting records here in terms of fouls, in terms of absolute ridiculousness. And the only thing I'm disappointed and frustrated at myself in is the fact that I am doing this, and I could not record that circus on my phone at the end with pass or not foul. I should have done it anyway on my phone, but all right. I got to get to the San Diego State game. I will come back to this in a second, because it's going to go overtime, and I'm not going to watch a whole overtime. So what's the bench like? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. He has. So if you look at, he's got 3 scholarship guys not in uniform that are out, and he's got 9 scholarship guys that he used that have played. The other Cunningham, I don't think, is a scholarship guy. As you see, I guess it's Jay Cunningham. So I don't know who that is. I know. Tell me about it. This is the another night in the Mountain West of all another night in the Mountain West games. All right, so here we go. I'll play by play it. I'm sure most of you guys are watching at this point, but I'll play by play it, and then we will move on to San Diego State, Wyoming. Here we go. Hydrator for the win from the baseline, and he hit it. Sick Modern. I don't know if you had seen that or not. I think UNLV might fold up shop and forfeit the rest of their season. Part of me wanted them to miss that, just so it would go overtime to see what would happen. But that is honestly, like, Pastner, he should resign. He should resign after that, honestly, or somebody should. They should kind of mail it in. I hate to be critical of them like that, but that is absolutely inventing ways to lose games. That I've never seen anything like that in my life. Talk about a gag job, John. That is something you will never see, okay? And this is why we do this here, because let me record this one here. I can't even believe what I'm watching. down 5 with 6 seconds left in regulation, and Fresno wins in regulation. So that you're going to hear some stats about that tomorrow, because I think only UNLV could pull that off, to be honest. Okay, and it's kind of like a running joke, and I kind of feel bad, but man, like, yeah, that's probably the wildest 2 minutes you'll see all season. Like, part of me feels bad for them, but like, you make your own breaks. And then in a certain way, like, they just like play into it, like they play into it, and it just, I don't know. Yeah, only UNLV, Paul, is absolutely correct. And sick. Pastner, if those, what's the saying? Those who don't learn from their mistakes are doomed to repeat them, right? And I don't know what else he needs to see to not foul. I don't know what else he needs to see, okay? Like, he got away with it against Boise 3 weeks ago, and they did not get away with it here, all right? And, like, you got to learn from that. It's unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Like, now, I was mostly kidding when I said, like, he's got to resign or they got to fire. Like, you don't fire the guy for that, but, man, like, that should not happen. You get paid a lot of money to be a head coach of a team, right? And it comes down to wins and losses. And you can't lose games like this. You deserve to win this game for 39 plus minutes. You can't do that. That can't happen. It's unbelievable. Okay. All right. I could do a whole show on this, but anyway, all right. So let's talk about the San Diego State game. And the first couple comments before this entire circus started a half an hour ago was that San Diego State game a Vern masterclass. Yeah, because that one rivaled this one in terms of free throws in a game that was very low scoring for much of the night. There were 62 free throws in the Wyoming San Diego State game. That's an awful lot in a low possession game. We end up with 80 in this Fresno game. This one should probably be on. I don't think Fox does like instant classics like ESPN used to, but they probably should. But anyway, and I wanted to discuss this because the final in that game was 72-63. So you look at that final and you think, wow, like that is competitive game, and it just wasn't. And Miguel was all over it. So I feel bad for you, Miguel. Can't even hold the spread. That was a brutal loss for some because that game was never in single digits for 1 second from the time that they stretched it out at the end of the first half. And it just Sundance, we've seen it before. He plays for 40 minutes. He did it against Boise a week or two ago when they were down by 20 at home and had zero chance of winning. And his guys play. They're kind of a pain in the ass to play against. Like when you're up, like part of the thing is honestly, like San Diego State was too cool for school today. They were not completely engaged, and I get it, right? Like it's Wyoming. There wasn't a lot of juice in the building. Hard to get excited. You're down a couple guys. You think you just beat this team by 20 on the road. You're expecting to just step on the floor and go out and get the W. And I think, when I say that, what I mean is they weren't ready to get down and dirty tonight and play the way you need to play and grind out wins against good teams. Now, Wyoming can't shoot straight, right? Like what do the stats say here? What do the stats say here? They shot 32%, and that was with like a few makes in the last couple minutes, which, as Miguel pointed out, covered the spread, one at the buzzer too. It's funny that what a brutal beat if you had that number, because that should not have come down to that. That just nonsense. You have missed dunks by the Aztecs. You have missed free throws. Wyoming hit a couple threes late. And that just happens. But yeah. For you Nevada fans, if you missed it, yes, UNLV, the most epic collapse ever. I don't think it was the worst game. It was a frustrating second half to watch because there were fouls every 5 seconds, and that became very frustrating to watch. Though it was a very entertaining first half at 50-49. Passer in the doghouse, he's several places other than the doghouse. That was absolutely wild. Obviously, okay. Yeah, Fresno's the wildest finish I've seen since Boise came back from 19 down with 4 minutes to go to beat Utah State. Yeah, somebody, it might be Jordan or Derek or somebody, some of the good Boise fans have that somewhere clipped together on YouTube or somewhere where you can watch that here on social media. But anyway, look, San Diego State, they weren't ready to get down in the muck today, and they got by because they're supremely talented to Wyoming. But what did the final rebounding numbers look like? Because they out rebound them 35-29, but after getting out rebounded 46-31 by Utah State on Saturday, and that being a big reason, not the whole reason, but a key reason to why they lost the game. I thought that would be a massive point of emphasis, and they gave up 12 offensive rebounds to Wyoming here. That shouldn't happen. That should not happen. Now, I get it. You shoot a lot of threes. They produce long rebounds. It's not easy to track them down all the time. But there were several offensive rebounds off of missed free throws. That's like frustrating to watch. I said earlier when I first started these live shows back at the beginning of January, I didn't think that this team had that killer instinct. Again, I get it. They're missing two guys, but they've been missing Glath all year. So, I hate adding that into the mix. Yes, they're missing Harrington, okay? Teams are missing guys. Wyoming was missing three guys tonight. Nobody's going to feel sorry for San Diego State for missing guys. We heard all offseason how they're the deepest team and their bench could beat half the teams in a conference. Well, this would be one of those teams that your bench can beat then. So, let's not give up 12 offensive rebounds to Wyoming. They shot 9 for 32 from three. And I think three of those makes were in the last 2 minutes when the game was over. And if they make a couple more of those, the game's maybe a little bit in doubt. I don't know, maybe not. But I just that's a frustrating game to watch. Wanting this San Diego State team to get to that level. Waters unbelievable lately, right? Very good. He's in rhythm right now. He's shooting the ball exceptionally well. Three rebounds. No assists, no turnovers, but he's out there to shoot the ball, right? Miles Bird had 12, 3 for 6, 8 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 turnovers. B.J. Davis has kind of tailed off here, whereas Waters has picked it up. And the rest of the guys, Compton, DeGorville, Simmons, Ho-Hum did okay. I thought their shot selection today was poor. Obviously, their defense was good. They benefited from there were a lot of fouls called, right? How many fouls? 25 on Wyoming, 21 on San Diego State. A lot of fouls called, physical game. Wyoming couldn't keep guys on the floor. Walker didn't seem interested in playing tonight for Wyoming, which is a little puzzling and frustrating because he's been good, but he didn't really seem engaged tonight. Maybe he didn't want to deal with it. I didn't think you'd get a good Wyoming effort here, right? It's tough to bounce back after the emotion that came out and you put into that rivalry game against Colorado State on Saturday. I thought they'd be a little flat, and they were flat. They had 24 points at the half. It was a miracle that they lost that game by 9. It wasn't a 9-point game, but the result says it was, and so it is what it is. But look, I guess I don't know. It's just Waltz and Dickow kept saying that Dutcher. They kind of stressed that they just wanted to get through this game and through the Air Force game, and before they get tuned up for some of the bigger games coming up. I get that, but again, you have enough guys that you can run out there. I mean, he played 9 guys here like this, right? And again, Wicks played 9 too because he's down a few guys. This is one where your 9 is better than better than their 9. It doesn't matter that you're missing guys or not. Go out there and do what you should do as a far superior team, right? They shot 3 for 18 from 3. I mean, obviously that's very poor. Anyway, I don't know what else to say. I did feel if anybody here watches Jeopardy, if you ever watch Jeopardy and the guys, they're brilliant, right? Whether it's whoever's playing, they're brilliant, and they often will start picking clues at the bottom because they're worth more money. And sometimes when you watch it, they're hard clues or they're just not good categories for them, and they miss all of those clues at the bottom, right? And then it's dude, just take the clues up at the top and get the easy money and easy points, right? Let's not try to outsmart ourselves here and be too cool for school and just go for what. Take what you can get. And the start of the second half in this game was just horrible. And that's why I said, I tweeted out that it was a dog effort by San Diego State. Because, look, Wyoming, they are what they are. They're scrappy. They play hard. They're not the most talented team. They can't shoot straight. So, like, when you're the superior team in this instance, like San Diego State was, that first 5 minutes and a half, it was like a 3-point contest, and everybody kept missing. And it was like, how about you drive the hole, attack the rim, get a layup, especially San Diego State, who's got the interior advantage and the size, whatever. Go inside and finish, right? So it's like, why do you got to make things more complicated than you need to do? But anyway, look, I guess this is where I get nitpicky because they won the game. They never were sweating. You know, it was a comfortable win, even though it only ended up a 9-point victory. It was a comfortable win. So you'll take that every night of the week, I guess, right? What else am I missing here before I move on? I'm obviously not going to talk. I didn't see Lawhorn jawing at the student section. But look, I'm not going to. Yes, unbelievable. Unbelievable. Those of you that just came in, I started a few minutes early because I obviously did not expect that to happen. My mistake, right? What do we know? Nothing's over in this conference until it's over. Obviously not going to talk about this game at all. I'll put the stats on. I didn't watch 1 second of it, so I'm going to learn with you what happened in the game with the stats. I know they were up by 30 in the first half. Moore played. Shaw did not play. I mean, that's probably smart. Drew divvied the minutes up pretty fair. I mean, neither team shot well from three. I mean, there's really not much to investigate here, right? It's just another double-figure blowout loss for the Falcons as they march on to an 0-20 likely record in the conference. But we will see. Which leaves one game left. I want to see what else, anything else that we can talk about on here. Yeah, I agree that you need Harrington. And somebody else said when I said that they weren't playing well and, you know, their offense was bad, that they are without a point guard. Well, like, I get that. Like, it's not ideal. But, you know, you have combo guards out there that can run stuff. And, again, Wyoming couldn't play defense without fouling. So it's like, I don't know. Was that all of the shot selection? I don't know. I agree with you, Miguel, that has cost them much-needed points to climb up on the metrics. You know, BJ was pointing out, people gave him flack for it, how the Broncos had climbed up freaking, 27 spots prior to the Grand Canyon game, and people said, well, you only beat Air Force and San Jose State. It doesn't matter. You were efficient doing it, and you moved up from 81 to 54, right? Well, now San Diego State's not going to move up 27 spots, but had they done this, had they put their foot on the throat a few other times, they would be a handful of spots higher in the net and the Ken Palm. I'm telling you, they would be. Yeah, here's another one. Aztecs won, but ugly. I'm an alumni. This team's full disappointment. I mean, you know, look, you're still in first place. You're tied. You know, we got a 3-way tie for first, and after tomorrow night, it's going to be a 2-way tie for first. And depending on how you want to look at it, like until that game is over, I'm not really going to say who technically is in first because we have an unbalanced schedule to this point. It will still be unbalanced. T-Mac does not see them as disappointing yet. I mean, look, there can be elements of their play that is disappointing and frustrating. There's no doubt. Gibbs Lawhorn, he might have had like 9 fouls. And, you know, the biggest upset of the night in that game was the fact that, like, Kamani Hamilton was the 4th player to foul out for UNLV. Like, the odds would have been him as number 1 or 2. T-Mac, they're not playing up to their potential. Don't play discipline. Yeah, but they still show up to play. Yeah, that part of that is the shot selection. Even Bird on defense. Like, look, we all know he's a very good defender, but he gets like Iverson sometimes. I know a lot of you guys are too young to remember Iverson, but, you know, they're out by 15. He's going for steals and taking himself out of position and getting fouls 30 feet from the basket. Like, what are you doing? Just play solid defense. Wyoming can't exploit you if you just play solid, straight-up defense, right? Instead, he's trying to go for steals out front so he can go for a dunk or whatever he's doing. Just play straight up, right? And that's the defensive equivalent of bad shot selection, is taking yourself out of position. It's very frustrating. Yeah, I agree, Larry. I don't know what GCU was doing. Again, I didn't watch a second of it, but when you're up by 30, you really shouldn't lose the second half to Air Force. I'm sure they had their backups in, but I'm probably also sure that Grand Canyon's backups are better than Air Force's players. So I'm not sure what happened there. But anyway, yeah, T-Mac, that's fair. You accept the good and the bad. Han, what did you see from Grand Canyon there? The true freshman, Bose Dor from France, got 10 points in extended minutes. Starters barely played. Yeah, I figured that would be the case. Will the UNLV loss hurt? I mean, the fact of the matter is, believe it or not, Jazz, like this one, they were an underdog, I think, in the game. It was close to a pick'em. They were like maybe a 1-point underdog. So it could have helped had they won, had they run off a stretch of wins here. But these two, UNLV and Fresno, are basically right near each other in the metrics in both KenPom and the net. So it's not really a massive bump either way. So if John, both of those guys will be back after the bye week or the bye session where they're off the midweek, be back on the 14th. Well, that will be good. That's when the schedule really ramps up. That's what the Waltz and Dick Al were kind of talking about. I totally agree with that, JNR. And I've said this all along. You need the leadership on the floor needs to be better. Whether maybe it's not everybody's an alpha leader like that, right? Maybe Reese Waters doesn't want to do it. I've said earlier, maybe BJ Davis feels like he's not. I don't know. He's overshadowed by some of the guys, and he doesn't want to do it either. But whatever it is, they need to get that straightened out. I don't think it's cost them a loss yet. I don't. But I don't know. I don't like some of the stuff I see. All right, big game tonight. First game up in Boise was a great game. Really, really good game. 91-87 was the final at Extra Mile in overtime. And, I mean, look, Nevada was out of it to start. Boise was on it. Nevada was out of it. That's how you get a football score 30-10, like halfway through the half. Boise was just a step and a half probably ahead of Nevada everywhere, all over the floor, both ends, offensively and defensively, making their shots. And then Nevada just started doing what they do with Alford, right? It became an Alford game. They chip away, they stay the course, they try to get in little chunks at a time, win little 4 or 5 minute games. They did that. They cut the 20-point lead down to 11 at the half, so you basically cut it in half. Obviously you're not going to play perfect, but then you chop it down a little more, you cut that in half there, and then all of a sudden it's 5, so you cut that from 11 and half to 5, and then you tie the game, and here we go. It's a brand new ball game. So obviously Boise wasn't going to keep that torrid start up over the course of the entire night, and Nevada was going to get it going a little bit. But, man, I was surprised at the fact that it got to where it got. So, obviously you have to credit Camper, and then Comer came up large in the second half too. I guess let me put these up here quickly. There's so many numbers to kind of to go over in this one because of, the extra 5 minutes and all the plays and everything. Both teams shot the ball, 49% for Nevada, 52% for Boise. Pretty efficient for Nevada, 10 for 24 from 3. Only 8 and 11 turnovers respectively. Great basketball right there. Boise did out-rebound by 10. As I'll get this off the screen here. I don't want it to swallow the screen up. But as we go to the individual numbers, again, as I mentioned, Camper 35 and Comer 24. Camper 14 for 22, 5 of 10, also 4 rebounds. Huge game from Camper. Comer got it going in the second half. Price was 17 and 9. So those three probably scored like 80 to 90% of the points for the Pack. Andrews, one of his better games. I've been hard on him. He was very good tonight, 6 assists. And he actually had a couple plays where he looked like a point guard out there. I remember one in the first half, he kind of dribbled around the basket and then found somebody after the defense lost him in the paint. He had another nice wraparound, no-looks, kind of zip-around pass in the second half in the paint. So 6 assists, 25 points. Now, it helps when your shots go in, but again, like that's the name of the game. If you're going to take that many shots as a point guard, you have 2 choices. You have one once you take them, is to make it. But you either make them or you don't take that many. Okay, like that's just the way I look at it, right? You can't go 3 for 12 as a point guard. You either don't take that many or you make the ones you take. Okay, that's the way I look at it. All right. Before I forget, go any further, Sun Cruiser. All right. Try it out. Get it. Get your Sun Cruiser and subscribe to the show at Mountain West BNN. Let's get some subscriptions up there. Buchanan was big tonight with 23. Parlin played pretty well too. Meadow didn't have his best game, 2 for 9. Of course, he misses those 2 free throws then. And some big shots too. Let's face it. Once Nevada crawled back into it, you had a big 3 from Buchanan in regulation, and then a big 3 from Andrews in the overtime. When, honestly, once that segment happened, and I think I have it. Let me see if I can go to it here. I don't do this often, but I'm going to try and do this here. I might have to go back and do it, but here we go. Oh, no, that didn't work, did it? No, I can't do that. All right, I have to figure out how to do that. I wanted to play that. Yeah, that's not good. Okay, I have to work on that. That was the clip. I'm sure you guys have seen it by now, where Meadow misses the 2 free throws. And then, look, you can't. There was nothing that Leon could do about that situation. I guess you're fortunate as a Boise fan that Comer decided to penetrate inside the paint instead of pulling up for a 3 where you could have lost the game, right? So, I mean, you got to make the free throws if you're Meadow. I mean, we know it's pressure. We know it's difficult. But, man, like Nevada, that's twice now that they've gotten through a situation like that and been the beneficiary of some missed free throws. But, again, credit to Comer for making that shot. Not an easy shot on the run, literally at the buzzer. I mean, probably released with 0.3 of a second left, so 0 time for Boise to do anything after that. And again, once it went overtime, I felt, this is getting a little dicey here for Boise. Momentum's on Nevada's side, just like it was last week when they pulled that game out of the hat against GCU. But again, Andrews made a huge 3, and they made their free throws late, and Nevada just needed one more play. So, I mean, look, this is what happens when you go on the road. I mean, people might think just by looking at the standings that this is an upset. Boise was, I think, like a 5 or 6 point favorite in this game. So by all of that stuff, it wasn't a. Yeah, I agree. Sick. Had Camper not, and that was a fact. Comer got it going late, but man, if Camper wasn't on fire in the late first half, early second half, this would have been a huge blowout. And I said Camper really, really suits Alford's style of play. I mentioned on my pod the other night, or maybe it was on here, most teams anymore in college basketball today utilize a ball screen, right? Everything's ball screens, okay? You make the defense figure out how they want to defend it. You get guys, different options off of the ball screen. Alford will do that once in a while, but they don't get a lot of stuff off of that. They run off-ball screens, and that's his stuff from Bobby Knight, and nobody does that better in the conference, and I don't watch enough throughout the country. I'm sure there's guys just as good as Camper, but, man, that's a science. How do you run off screens? Do you set your guy up? If you ever played the game or been caught or coached, you got to go off shoulder to shoulder so your defender can't, has it make a decision. Is he going to go around a screen? Is he going to trail you? Is he going to try and cut in between? And then you can do different things off of that, right? Camper's excellent at that. It looks so tough, but, man, he does that in practice, muscle memory, and that's why he makes so many of those shots. He was on point. He looks really good lately, and if he had not been in there, they would have absolutely been blasted. Han at point out GCU not very good from the line. Yeah, could cost you games down the stretch. JNR prediction: Boise will win the Mountain West tournament. It's funny. I thought that, and you don't think the Aztecs have the winning mentality. Watching that game tonight, I thought that one of those two teams is in, I wouldn't say a good position, but I wouldn't count either of those two teams out to win a conference tournament. Now, Alford has not had a lot of success in it. Leon has had much more success, made the final last year, won it a few years ago. Alford has not had that success, but I think those two teams, I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two teams is in the final. Okay, let's just say that. Okay, Han agrees with JNR. Feel like Boise's going to make their presence known here to finish out the season. They're out of contention for the regular season crown, but they can play spoiler. Yeah, and that's what I was saying. This is a college basketball game. on the road in conference play. They're not easy to win. And to my point, like people would say, what? Like Boise was favored by 5 or 6? Yeah, looks odd, but it's not easy to win on the road, okay? And Boise showed that for 30 minutes, that why they were favored by that. Now, Nevada obviously showed too. They're a good team. You know, they've had trouble closing games out. Let's face it. Now, tonight wasn't them not being able to close the game out. Tonight was them starting slowly and playing a poor first half and then having to play catch up the entire second half. You know, and let's face it, they were a boneheaded play by Makai Williams and a missed free throw by 2 missed free throws by Henley away from being 0-5 against the other top half of the conference. I think now it's pretty clear that you would take the top 5 teams and add Boise to that, and there's your top half, those 6. And then the other 6 are in the bottom half, however you want to order them, right? But, you know, Nevada has a win against GCU, and then their 4 losses are to those other 4 teams. Now, they did beat Boise, so they split with Boise, each one at home. Nevada more decisively, but regardless, like, you know, they couldn't get it done against the other teams, one of them at home, and now they couldn't find a way to win here on the road. And, you know, there's no shame in that because it's tough road trip to make. Boise, you know, they're too proud of a program to quit. They laid an egg, didn't play well on Friday, but it's very possible that I think it's pretty conclusive that GCU is better than Boise, okay? And that's fine. It's fine to say that. They're a good team. Talked about that plenty in here. They've improved a lot. B, maybe it's just not a good matchup for Boise, okay? And so what happens? You know, they didn't quit. Leon's not just going to mail it in. He's got some proud guys and dudes on this team. They don't want to lose, just, you know, play out the string. And so credit to them for being ready to play in this game and getting the job done, because Nevada, they're still, again, they're not worried about what we say on here and what the bracketologists say. They were still kind of in the mix. And I had said it, I think it was on my pod the other night, that they had a serious path to 15-5 and maybe even 16-4. The schedule set up pretty decent for them if they took care of their business at home. Now, it's not going to be easy, but I do think that they will beat either New Mexico or Utah State at home. I think they'll get one of those, okay? They don't have to go to Grand Canyon. They'll probably lose at Viejas. We know that. But before tonight, they had 3 losses. They lose at Viejas. That was 4. And then if they lose to either New Mexico or Utah State at home, that would give them 5. They win out. They would finish 15-5. Now this gives them their 4th loss. They're pretty much cooked to finish 15-5. It's going to be very, very difficult. They'd have to win out with the exception of going to Viejas. That will be hard. But, I mean, they were right in there. They're still playing for postseason berths. Like, they were ready to play. Well, they weren't ready to play. They were – this is the game that they needed. Okay, they didn't come out with the urgency that I would have liked to have seen. They kicked it into gear after 10 minutes, but it was too late because Boise brought a really good effort. So I'm happy to see that. And as I said, and somebody else said, a couple of you guys had said, I do think that the comments were about Boise. I think both of these teams are going to have something to say once we get to the conference tournament. I'm aware that the 3 teams at the top seem to have separated themselves from that second batch. But as we've said before, okay, conference tournaments around the country, they don't go chalk, okay? They just don't. Some do, some don't. I think we could be in for one of those this year. Just because they're the best teams doesn't mean they win every game, right? That's just the way it is. Yeah, Parolin played well tonight. He was aggressive. He was all over it. He did a nice job. Yeah, I agree with that, T-Mac. You know, there's many fans that would like to have their team in first place even if they're not playing well. Let's see. What else do we got? Okay. RJ Keene with that massive hustle play. You know, I thought they changed that rule where you couldn't call timeout anymore if you're falling out of bounds. I guess I have to look that up, or maybe it depends on if you're in the air or something. But huge hustle play by Keene. He hit a 3 or 2 early in the game. But, yeah, that was a huge play. If he doesn't save that, Nevada has the ball down too. Who knows what happens. Keene did play very well defensively, and, that was important. So, Timothy, no worries. Sorry to hear about that. My thoughts are with you. Let's see here. Let Boise State win the Mountain West tournament. It's possible, okay? It's possible. GCU is the worst matchup for Boise. Well, there you go. Yeah, I mean, we've seen it twice. They do not. So that's a thing. If Boise has a chance, you don't want to see GCU. So what Boise needs to do then is if GCU's likely headed for the 4 or 5 seed, but if they would by some chance sneak into the 3 seed, you don't want to draw GCU in a 3-6 game. So you got to get away from GCU until the finals. All right. Tomorrow night's going to be an incredible game. Let's talk about tomorrow night at the Pit. Your gut says Utah State pulls out a close one with El Amin being the player to watch. It's interesting. I don't think New Mexico has a matchup for El Amin. In theory, it will be Chol. Is he up for the challenge? I guess we'll see. Yes, Larry. UNLV, they said, what do they say? The cool kids say, hold my beer, right? They certainly upped, anything that they've done under Kevin Kruger. I mean, they found some, they don't want to hear about the 5-point play, but this tops that. This was just absolutely ridiculous. I still can't believe what I watched. I might have to record the game, on the replay before I go to bed on FS1 so I can fully appreciate it again watching it back. I mean, they might have to edit half it out because they certainly don't build 3 hours in it for a window to watch the games. But anyway, okay, so let's talk about tomorrow again. I'd expect a large crowd. I don't know about capacity, but I think you'll get 90% plus of capacity in the Pit. 11 o'clock, late start, only game. So that's all right. It'll allow us to take a nap beforehand. Certainly me before, since I don't have to watch the other games. But look, both teams will be ready to go. I think New Mexico's obviously got the emotional edge here being at home. Utah State coming off of that win against San Diego State might be slightly tough for them to rebound, right? I did see, interestingly enough, and again, take this for what it's worth. Some of you will completely disregard this and think it means nothing. Some of you will think, okay. But I saw that New Mexico was only like a 1.5-point favorite in the game. That really surprised me, being at home in the Pit. So basically, it's like a pick'em game. I expected them to be a 3, maybe-ish point favorite in the game. With they certainly have a home court advantage there, right? The same as Utah State will when they play in the Spectrum. Utah State's veteran guards are the bad matchup for UNM. Utah State won't win in the paint. Yeah, I don't think they'll win in the paint. Templin will do Templin's job tomorrow will be to to try to neutralize and get under the skin of Bullion, okay? But it's not an easy matchup for Templin, but he did play very well and hold his own against San Diego State, and he was out-athleted there. So that won't be as much of an issue, but will he be effective tomorrow, okay? Larry is correct that the Utah State veteran guards out front, Drake Allen has not shot the ball well lately, but Collins and Falslev and some of the other guys, maybe Allen running the show, some of the other guys are not a super matchup for the New Mexico guards. Now, the one thing that I didn't think about on here the other night, I mentioned it on my pod, is the Albury factor, right? So Albury, we all know, played at Utah State last year. Now, this is not a case of, Jaden Henley, right? Let's just say Jaden Henley when he goes to play against, because I don't think Grand Canyon played, Saturday, Grand Canyon UNLV, right? Henley played for UNLV last year. Well, guess what? His coach is gone. It's a different coach, and all the players are gone. So does Henley really care about that? Like, he's going to go play whether whoever's there, right? He wasn't recruited by Pastner. He didn't get screwed over by Pastner. He played for Kruger. He played with guys who are not there anymore. So he doesn't have any loyalties to UNLV, so it's not a big deal to him. Albury, on the other hand, played for Calhoun last year and played with a handful of these players. Now, I don't know what type of, how they left things, but players, when they go against former teams in situations like this, have a tendency to go off the rails a little bit and go rogue, okay? So let's keep an eye on that. If you're a Lobo fan, you don't want Albury trying to go rogue. Just let the game come to you. You don't got to be a hero, right? Don't try to be whatever, all right? Because then Olin's going to have to yank you and go with the freshman to net, and that's probably not ideal in a game against veteran guards. So that's a key thing for me to watch when you start watching the game. Is Albury, is he going off script a little bit? Okay, is he going, like, we know he goes 100 miles an hour. Like, what kind of decisions is he making? right? And Olin, I'm sure, has already probably hammered that message home, but those messages aren't always received. So I'm curious to watch that, okay? Now, I do think that Olin and the Lobos will get Hall free for some looks, okay? The Aggie defense is okay. Sometimes it's consistent, or it's not the most consistent. And I think the New Mexico defense has an edge, although obviously Utah State's going to find a way to score. New Mexico's not going to hold them in the 60s, right? There's going to be some points scored in this game, I would expect, okay? You're going to see some up and down basketball, some shots flying. Hopefully we get a good flow to the game, stuff like that. Yeah, Larry, I would too want Albury to be a pass-first point guard tomorrow. We don't need him trying to play hero ball 100%, okay? You think Templin will be a matchup problem for Bouillon, so you think Templin's going to bully or be physical with Bouillon. Yeah, absolutely, okay? Yeah, T-Mac, the top three do seem very evenly matched right now. Okay, anything else on here? Two good coaches. Olin will probably have a wrinkle or two up his sleeve. I talked about the adjustments that Calhoun made on Saturday against the Aztecs pressure D, so you'll get a good chess match here tomorrow. This is one of those games that, yeah, of course the beginning is going to matter, right? But this is going to be a game that's won in the second half with the adjustments. So many times, and I know it sounds odd, I used to think the same thing too. Like, so many times teams are up like 8, 9, 10, 11, not in the Mountain West, all across the country, 8, 9, 10, 11 at the half, and then they'll lose the game by 7 or 8, and it's like, how the heck does that happen? Like, you have a 15-point swing. Well, that's when you really get down to the adjustments, and you have 15 minutes with your guys to show them stuff and go over things and tweak things and make adjustments and kind of really get together with your staff and your players and go over things that you can work on and improve. And some coaches are better at that than others are. Both of these guys are good at that. So that's going to be really interesting. So I think we're in for probably a close half, and then who gets the adjustments done. Again, you have to give the slight edge to the Lobos, A, because they're at home, B, the crowd, and C, the fact that the Aggies are coming off that huge win. I mean, that would be a pretty impressive and difficult double-up to go San Diego State and then New Mexico, second one on the road. So, of course, we'll give the edge when these two teams meet in the Spectrum to the Aggies, just like I would give the edge in Viejas to the Aztecs against the Aggies, and probably in the pit to the Lobos against the Aztecs. So between all 6 of these games, I probably would say the home team would win all 6. Do we get one upset and one road team to win? We could, because we almost did both times, right? New Mexico had that game against San Diego State, and if Bouillon doesn't foul Heidi out 80 feet from the basket, who knows what happens? And the Aztecs were in control of that game for 30-plus minutes until the Aggies really kicked it into gear. So these are not freebies by any means. And as I said, Vegas has this basically a pick-em tomorrow. So this is by no means a freebie just because you're at home. I know you got a long winning streak. As I said the other night, Arkansas had one too, and they went down in flames to Kentucky on Saturday. So nothing's guaranteed. You got to come out, show up tomorrow, and play well. The officiating crew, as far as I know, Timothy, has not been announced. We'll probably find out tomorrow. Probably have to wait for Jeff Grammer's tweet on that. Bouillon is definitely a load in the post. He's very skilled, too. Like, because he's not the best athlete, that gets overlooked. He's a better athlete than he gets credit for because he's so strong and physical. There's no doubt about it. Okay. Let's see here. So, just the one game tomorrow, and so it's going to be a late one. I don't know if there's a game before it. I'm assuming there is. And so we'll be on whenever that guy's over. Maybe we'll see if we can get a coach, player, depending on what happens in the pit. No games Friday. I said that the other night. Weird scheduling here. Not sure why that is. But we have nothing on Friday. So show tomorrow and then back here on Saturday. And nothing in between. So I guess I'm going to wrap this up. Aztecs, you still think? Yeah, I mean, look, he tried it, and by the book, it wasn't a bad call. It didn't work out. Heidi did rise to the occasion, and he shot the ball better from the line. Boise matches up well at the pit. Yeah, well, they won there 2 years ago when they were a massive underdog, and nobody thought they could win there, including myself. So look, we had something very interesting tonight. You know, we kind of did the first part of the show watching that circus unfold in Fresno. One for the ages there. So if you missed it, go back and catch that one on replay, which I'm going to do. I'm going to go record it now when I get off here because that was something you won't see very often. But in the meantime, one more plug here for the old Sun Cruiser. Appreciate them being here and being a title sponsor. And at Mountain West BNN, it's coming. It's on there right now. At Mountain West BNN, please go subscribe if you haven't already. Tell a friend, tell a family member, tell a coworker, tell all your. Shout it from the rooftops. Get some subscriptions at Mountain West BNN. So I appreciate all of you guys being here late night. It's almost 3 a.m. here. So that means it's 1 a.m. Mountain and almost midnight Pacific. We're all tired. We all need some sleep. And that includes me. So been a long day. I appreciate all of you guys being here. I can only imagine. I will have to reserve that for tomorrow because if I go down that rabbit hole, I literally won't sleep, and I'm not 24 anymore. I can't do that. So I can only imagine what they're saying. But, yeah, an all-timer tonight for UNLV. Good win by Boise. San Diego State gets a win, stay in first place. You got it, T-Mac. Appreciate you and everybody else being here. Appreciate all your commentary, questions, your thoughts. That keeps this thing going, and that was the purpose of this, right? I could talk forever like I do on my pod, but I like the interaction, and that's why I want you guys to bring you're welcome, Sick. I want you guys to bring the comments and questions. So do the same thing tomorrow night. Hopefully it doesn't go for 3 hours like tonight's UNLV game did, but nonetheless, we'll be here. Hopefully you will too. Appreciate you guys. Another night in the Mountain West. See you guys tomorrow night.